shake my blues away. I'm gonna clap, clap, clap my blues away. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna clap, clap, clap my blues away. I'm gonna bend my knees and do the twist till I am over this. I'm gonna clap, clap, clap my blues away. I'm gonna jump, jump, jump my blues away. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna jump, jump, jump my blues away. I'm gonna bend my knees and do the twist till I am over this. I'm gonna jump, jump, jump my blues away. I'm gonna stomp, stomp, stomp my blues away. Yeah, I'm gonna stomp, stomp, stomp my blues away. I'm gonna bend my knees and do the twist till I am over this. I'm gonna stomp, stomp, stomp my blues away.
It is my pleasure and my honour to welcome you here this morning to this very special occasion, this memorial service for Genevieve Jereb. We come with many thoughts and emotions today, and they are all welcome. We can feel what we feel, and what Jen wanted more than anything is for us to be here together. That was really important for her. And I'm acknowledging also that we are joined today by people across the globe through the wonders of technology. So we welcome particularly Jen's family of Slovenia. We welcome the Campavante people who are gathering and celebrating. And we welcome people from England and the United States and for anywhere in the world, for people who are gathering today, all are welcome. When Jen got her diagnosis, she called me and she said, "Mon, will you and Trish and Susie prepare a memorial service for me?" You can imagine how that was for someone to receive a phone call like that. It's like put on the spot, not sure what to do. But she was very definite about living, and she was very definite about maintaining hope. And we always looked upon this service as something that we'd have just in case. So we come today with sad hearts and joyful hearts in knowing that she's no longer in pain and that she has been surrounded and is surrounded by family and friends who love her. She was clear, I said, in what she wanted, and more than anything, she wanted to make sure that her family and her friends were supported, particularly at this time, and that comfort was a really big part of what she wanted us to experience. She said to me a couple of times when I was either on the phone to her or visiting her, she said, "Mon, when I go, could you keep a chair for me, keep a seat for me? If you're at the movies, keep a seat for me. If you're out to dinner, keep a seat for me." So we have a seat here today for Jen. So Jen, welcome, darling, and we acknowledge you, we love you, and it's time to celebrate a tremendous life that she has had. I just invite now Chris, Jen's wife, to come and to begin the formal part of our celebration by lighting a candle.
And I have a few words.
Absolutely.
Oh. Thank you all for being here. A philosopher once said that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Jen knew that this was true and took it even a step further. Using her inner flame, she loved to spark the light in someone else. With a song, with a kind word, with a gift, with a laugh. This was just fun for Jen. And Jen was all about fun. The photo you see was taken by my sister-in-law, Sue, just minutes after we were married. You can see her exuberance, her playfulness, her spirit. This is Jen. Over the last 12 years, we were blessed to travel all over the world together, at least when we could travel. And once we were staying in a fine hotel in Rome and enjoying a late lunch. And there was a loud banging on the wall of the adjoining room. Evidently, we were laughing too much. It was siesta and everyone else was taking a nap. Well, that just made us laugh even more. Jen brought light, joy, and fun wherever she went. And she will continue to foster that in my heart, and in yours, and in yours. Please join us in celebrating and extending that light, that connection, that exuberance, and that fun.
Jen was light. She shone brightly in the lives of many. Her light shone also through her music, as Chris has said, and her ability to animate the community and to bring people together. Therefore, it is fitting today to begin our celebration with a song that we can all join in together. I invite Trish Watts to lead us in a song called Sia Humba. You'll get it as you go.
Hamba,
Unfortunately, I'm not going to ask you to sing it in Afrikaans, South African, but we're going to sing it in English. We are walking in the light of God. And this is something Jan loved to sing up with her full voice and to dance. So we've got a bit of percussion, a few percussion instruments kindly brought here to us. And we'd like a few bit help. So can we pass some of these around? Maybe you can help hand them out. Yeah. Got some maracas. Yeah. And what about it? Okay, up here. Got somebody pass them on. All right. So just invite you, and if you feel like you want to stand up, you can, all right? Anything goes with this song, and it is a beautiful African one that's joyful, that's sung in all over Africa. So I'm sure we can join in. Okay, here we go. We are walking in the light of God. 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 We are walking, we are walking, oh, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, oh, we are walking in the light of God. We are singing 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 in the light of God. We are singing, we are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God. We are singing, we are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God. And if you've got movement, we can add movement if you like. We are dancing in the light of God. 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 We are dancing, we are dancing, oh, we are dancing in the light of God. We are dancing, we are dancing, oh, we are dancing in the light of God. We are clapping, we are clapping in the light of God. 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 Here we go. We are clapping, we are clapping, oh, we are clapping in the light of God. We are clapping, oh, we are clapping in the light of God. I think she would have liked that one. Thanks, everybody.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we gather here today to celebrate the extraordinary life of Jen Jereb and to give thanks for the bounty of blessings that her life has been for so many. Gracious God, be with us as we remember the gift of Jen, her smile, her cheekiness, her energy, her fierce love of life. Give us courage to participate in this life as Jen did, with light, laughter, and grace. We do not understand why she was challenged with illness and suffering. But we draw strength as we remember Jen's deep faith, a faith without boundaries, judgment, or limitations, which enabled her to hold firm to the wings of hope, the wings that have now gently, lovingly lifted her into heaven. Amen. Jen touched many lives, all of us here, those of you who are visiting here through streaming today. Her life touched many people across the world. And we want now to simply bring some symbols forward that represent the areas, some of the areas of her life. The first symbol that is going to be brought forward to our sacred space is the guitar. Music was a vital part of Jen's way in which she connected with people. She was the energizer and the heartbeat of many a gathering, workshop or campfire, making up songs as she went. Wherever there was a huddle of kids, Jen was in the middle, more often than not with her guitar in hand. Thank you, Jen, for your music. The next symbol that we bring up is a beanie baby and a rainbow hat. These are being brought up by Jack, Jen's beloved nephew. Family was important to Jen. Whilst Jen was living in the US, she sent regular care packages. Oh, I've got another. Is that another relative?
No.
Excellent.
Another beloved.
Another beloved. Excellent. She sent these regular care packages to her Aussie niece and nephews. She would always include a beanie baby in each of the parcels, and they were highly coveted and all the rage at that time in the United States. The family still has every beanie baby that she sent, and this was the first one that Jen sent. The rainbow hat that's also now before us was, rumour has it that the tie-dye was her favourite colour. So she actually convinced the 9-year-old Ellen, a niece of hers, with this that she wanted this particular hat. And so she started to a trend that whenever Ellen had these colourful items, Jen would steal them, I guess, take them. Jen was seen at so many gatherings, family gatherings in particular, wearing colourful, iconic, beautiful pieces, accessories that added to the life and the brightness and the colour that she brought. So we thank you for her love for family. The next item that we're bringing forward are CDs by Jen. Jen used her talents to create music to educate and empower others. She used her gifts to become not only a successful children's singer and songwriter, but an exceptional and inspiring therapist. Her music has helped thousands of people find their own monkey. Thank you for your gift of teaching, Jen. The next item is a blanket. Jen's university friends were a special community and were known as the Uni family. Meeting in first year and nearly 30 years later, still gathering together, now with partners and children, they have shared many great moments together. They made this sensory blanket for Jen when she was sick. It is covered with their faces, so she knew that they were always close to her. Thank you for your love of Jen, all the uni family and all of the friends that were close to Jen. I now want to invite Susie Edmonds forward. Susie is a long-standing friend of Jen and has been very close particularly in these last couple of years, supporting Jen and the family. And Susie will share, I'm sure, because she's a good storyteller, will share some poignant moments, funny moments about Jen and her life and the way that Susie's life has been touched by that beautiful friendship.
Genevieve Lee Jereb, born at Windsor Memorial Hospital on the 1st of March 1968, in the early hours of the morning, narrowly missing the leap year. After all, celebrating Jen's entry into this world only every 4 years would not have seemed fitting. Genevieve was the second child to Fran and John, little sister to Marie, and later big sister to Dave. Fran remembers the first thing she noticed about Jen was her blue eyes and her beautiful smile. Jen came into the world with the attributes that would continue to grab us all. Genevieve was born into a family that had the capacity to wrap you up with great bundles of love, which only expanded as more children, cousins, nieces, nephews, and partners came on board. Family was where Jen first learnt the importance of connection and unconditional love. She learnt that life doesn't always go smoothly, but when you've got each other's back, there's always a way through. I first met Jen when I was 17 years old. I knew Marie as we were in neighbouring youth groups. She asked a few of us to write to her sister Jen, who was living away from home, working on a retreat team with the nunny bunnies, as Jen would call them. And Jen was lonely and missing the company of others. Pre-mobile phone days and always up for a good pen pal commitment, I started writing to Jen to say that from those letters we went on to have a lifelong friendship will always be a sacred blessing in my life. I still remember the first time I met her. She was meeting us after church, and I had such excitement to meet this person on the other side of the ink. Of course, like many of you will also have experienced, the first meeting with Jen has always stayed in my memory. She came bounding across the car park, dressed in colour, arms outstretched, and said, "Susie, Wyatt, wow, I finally get to meet you," before embracing me in a huge hug, and hours, in fact, 33 years later, we were still talking. The fact that many of you could step up to this microphone and share similar insights and stories about Jen is a reflection on the way Jen could make you feel. When you were near her, you were bathed in an energy and light, which came from the ability of Jen to be truly present. Genevieve accepted you exactly as you were, and she had a way of assuming that everyone was just doing their best. She could see your quirks, your struggles, and perhaps even your deficiencies, and yet that endeared you to her more. But Jen was human, and on the flip side, she often didn't hold the same level of compassion and non-judgment towards herself. Amidst the joy and boundless love that she so readily shared, like all of us, she faced her own struggles and challenges in her life. Yet she displayed resilience and the courage of self-reflection and self-actualization that continued to contribute to the fullness of her life. Jen was cheeky, witty, funny and playful, as well as deep, thoughtful and considered. She had an explosive laugh that could cut through a difficult conversation, soar above a group, or inject a level of energy that put people at ease. The stories that have been sent my way as I've compiled this eulogy have been abundant. There are just too many to include, but they all share the same sentiment. One of a kind, a shining light, talented, generous, inspirational, an incredible gift to the world. And there are stories of fun, adventure, travel, and celebrations. A few that have made me laugh. Her first job after high school, working in a school office where she was great at putting band-aids on kids, but hated the admin. Not surprisingly, at the end of the year, the nun in charge suggested she might be more suited elsewhere. After the staff had spent the year stepping over 5,000 reams of paper, when Jen, early in her short-lived admin career, ordered 500 reams instead of 10 bundles containing 500 sheets. There was exciting travel to Slovenia to meet her family, numerous adventures overseas with dear friends, time spent in India at an orphanage working with kids. Not to forget boasting that she was the only one to avoid Delhi belly all trip, only to be knocked down by a dodgy lettuce the night before they left. The whole flight home, she nursed a painful stomach, spent too much time in the bathroom, and scratched her lice-infested head. There was Jen's questionable early driving efforts, where she cruised through a red light, much to the horror of her passengers, only to calmly say she was distracted, looking out for people on the footpath. Learning guitar from her friend Michael, which brought her so much joy and was the start of what then became Jen's main accessory and one of her many creative vehicles. Travelling to Rome, the Catholic capital of the world, with Uncle Pat. On arrival at the accommodation, they had been given one room with one double bed. When they insisted that they needed a separate room, the old Italian lady who was looking after them was not impressed, and she crankily opened up one small room hidden away and begrudgingly handed it over. By the morning, when the lady had obviously looked at the books and realised that she had a padre staying in the hotel, she couldn't be nicer to Father Pat, leaving Jen to fend for herself. Jen's response to Pat was simply, "I think I liked her better when she hated you." Or her first class in first year uni. The lecturer was late, but no one knew each other, so you could hear a pin drop as everyone waited nervously for their serious uni careers to get going. Not Jen. She got up, took the mic, introduced herself, and started a round of kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, dividing everyone up, and had the whole 120 nervous first years singing in rounds by the time the lecturer walked in and introduced them to Physiology 101 in her slow drawl American accent. In her world-renowned traffic jam in the brain course, Jen said, when evaluating and assessing the needs of a child, the questions tell you very little. But what they are good for is in finding out the stories behind the answer. That's when you have the real breakthrough. Questions were not enough. They were simply the gateway to the stories where people could be seen and heard without judgment. Perhaps, rather than continue to capture all your stories and risk doing them an injustice, we should take Jen's advice. Continue to share stories, the stories of Jen, your interactions, your memories, the things she taught you, your moments, both big and small. And there may just be that breakthrough, the breakthrough of realisation of what having a friend like Jen teaches you about yourself. I know for me the lessons have been numerous. Jen taught me that love is messy, joyful and challenging. She taught me to look beyond what you see and stay long enough to get through a difficult conversation. That no one can do the inner work for you. You just have to keep showing up and ultimately work it out for yourself. She taught me to always endeavour to operate out of integrity and truth, but that we don't always get it right. And in Jen's final days earthside, she taught me that asking for what you need is tough but important, that losing your independence is hard, but it doesn't mean you lose your dignity, that you can only take a breath for the present moment, and that's where your focus should be. That when all is stripped bare, the only thing that remains is unconditional love. And that in finding your wholeness, knowing who you are at the deepest and most profound levels of your being, in the words of spiritual leader Ram Dass, we are all just walking each other home.
This is a little bit like one of Jen's workshops. But, I do remember one workshop that Jen went to. It was in the football stadium at the Geelong football ground. And it had windows like this behind Jen. And most of the audience were young women, occupational therapists, teachers. And Jen said she had so much trouble helping to keep focused because the women were looking at the footballers training on the football ground. It was hard work for her. The dream team. That's how Jen referred to the three of us. Jen, Fran, her mum, and myself. Who, by the way, my name's Peter Yates, not Peter Wade, as you might be reading in your handout. Not a handout, it's a book. Okay. Used to the conferences. So Jen, Fran and myself, we spent years travelling together, travelling the length and breadth of the country with the workshop, which was firstly called Getting Kids in Sync, and later became the traffic jam in my brain. Whenever the three of us would be together, right up to the end, we were the dream team. At the beginning of a workshop, I would get up on stage to introduce Jen and then come in at the end to thank her. I'm not here to introduce Jen as she needs no introduction, but to offer a farewell and thank her for the way, through her songs, workshops, and just by being herself, for the lives she touched. There is a reading from 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 to 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonour others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, and always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when the completeness comes, what is in part disappears.
Thanks, Jen. My beautiful sister Jen, she chose this poem for us for today from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's called No Coming, No Going. This body is not me. I am not limited by this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born and I have never died. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with the stars. Manifestations from my wondrous true mind. Since before time I have been free. Birth and death are only doors through which we pass. Sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are a game of hide and seek. So, laugh with me. Hold my hand. Let us say goodbye. Say goodbye to meet again soon. We meet today. We will meet again tomorrow. We will meet at the source every moment. We meet each other in all forms of life.
We have heard a beautiful eulogy by Susie, and now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Ruth Sugden. Ruth was a very close friend of Jen's and worked as a colleague, and she was a university student for a number of years and is very well placed to share about the working life of Jen. Ruth, thank you.
It's such an honour to be asked to speak about Jen's work. I was actually one of her university lecturers, so I knew her from the time she was a student. Oh, thank you. By anyone's standards, Jen had a really big career. And when you're thinking about careers, I think a CV is a logical place to start, so let's do it. Sorry? Am I able to, yes, is that better? I'm sorry, I'm a mumbler. Genevieve Lee Jereb was an Australian-born graduate of Sydney University. She was a paediatric occupational therapist, a clinician who also lectured on sensory processing disorders, both nationally and internationally. After graduation and leaving Sydney, she practiced in the USA for 10 years, first working in the school system in Sarasota, Florida for 10 years, where she was instrumental in really changing the mindset of teachers at a school for kids with emotional and behavioural disorders. She and her work were actually featured in the local news, and when asked there what motivated her, part of her answer was a simple, I want to do something that's important. Jen moved from Florida to Wisconsin to join the Therapeutic Resources Clinic and Vital Links professional education company headed by Sheila Frick. Jen and Colleen Hacker eventually took over that clinic, and they ran it for 6 years until moving to Australia in 2004. This was a small boutique practice that provided specialised services for kids all over the USA. In Madison, Jen also taught a course throughout the USA called Perspectives on Sensory Modulation with Colleen and Sheila. In the last part of her time in the US, Jen developed and wrote the highly successful workshop, The Traffic Jam in My Brain, and taught it around the world. This workshop is available online, and every year thousands of participants have attended the workshop and responded with very positive feedback. Returning to Australia in 2014, Jen perceived a lack of social needs resources and opened her online store, sensorytools.net, to bring new and innovative resources to the special needs community. With a lifelong history of singing and songwriting, Jen used the principles of sensory processing theory to create music, songs, and rhythmic activities for children with attention, motor, and regulation difficulties. Having now sold over 50,000 CDs, her released recordings, which include No Worries, Say G'day, Cool Bananas, and Jumping Jelly Beans, among others, provide parents, professionals, caregivers, and educators with fun, engaging, ready-to-use songs and activities that all support self-regulation. Another huge part of Jen's American work life was Camp Avanti, a specialised camp for about 60 kids with individual differences in sensory processing, which she attended for 20 years, first in 1997, returning in 98 as a mental therapist, and from 99 as Avanti's music leader. She worked with each camper group and led the whole camp evening campfire, making up songs on the go, even putting together the camp's Forever theme song. She created specialised music experiences, which led in great part to the music that was created on her CDs. She was a very much loved and valued part of the Avanti community of adults and children. So that's the CV. You don't get much of the person in the CV, so where's the person? Like Susie, you always remember your first time you meet Jen. I first met Jen in 1992 when she was a second-year student, and it was pretty unforgettable. It was an 8 a.m. lecture in first semester, 92. I just had a baby. I hadn't slept for years. I hated the subject I'd been dumped with teaching, and I was packing up the overheads, desperate to get out. And I see this young woman up the back. The uniform here, it was BO30. I know you'll remember it. Coming from the back, walking down from the back row, a smile getting bigger every step. So I give her Olympic level death stare. No questions, I don't have it. She keeps on coming, she keeps on smiling. I give her this really hardcore side eye, she keeps coming. Still smiling, she walked behind me, behind the lectern, she tapped the mic, which was still on, and I go, oh, it's a community announcement, thank God, nothing for me. I'll do my best to create it here, but I'm going to look a complete arse, and I can only give you like a tenth of what she did. But she came around, she went, oh yeah, 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 yeah! And she turned to me and she went, thank you so much. I've just always wanted to do that. Walked off. Now, it could have been rude, it could have been intrusive, it could have been desperately inappropriate. But in that moment, and look, even to this day, I cannot explain why, suddenly it was brave, perfectly timed, funny, so endearing, and boy, could she sing. Wow, I thought to myself, now here's one to watch. And I did. So through third and fourth year, Jen and her lovely cohort were a joy, an absolute joy whenever I got them to teach. But I always ran a final year experiential elective on creative arts and therapy. And it was there and after that that I really got to know her as a person. Most years, not every year, but most years of 12, I recorded parts of the creative art workshop. And I'd really like to bring just a tiny moment of Jen into the room and play a bit of the recording from 1994. It's terrible sound quality, recorded on a little cassette. Millennials, ask your parents about those. On a boom box without an external microphone. And I'm horrified to hear myself being both simultaneously incredibly bossy and clapping out of tune. But at the end you can hear this moment of pure joy, just randomly captured 27 years ago. Jen's voice, it's the group, you hear the group, but Jen's voice, if you listen clearly at the part where, oh yes, I know, you can still hear her so clearly, soaring above it. Absolutely Jen in total flow. Sound cue. Yes, I know, that's Jen. Yes. Isn't that fantastic? A random moment of a life 27 years ago. I dug this out recently to play for Jen herself, and in re-listening to that gorgeous group after so many years, it reminded me of a quote that I'd kept from that time of the great Indian poet Tagore, which now seems so apt for Jen. God respects me when I work. God loves me when I sing. But in thinking about Jen as a student, and given how much she valued truth and authenticity, and how much she struggled to live that in her life, I think I know. I think the last thing that Jen would want from me here today, talking about her work, is a snow job. So, Jen was not an all-round brilliant student who got the best marks. She was very average at some stuff. She even struggled to get through it. And there was some large parts of the curriculum that she was just totally disinterested in. No snow jobs. But everything that made her such a great therapist, such a brilliant communicator, and such a big-hearted and empathic connector was absolutely there right from her student days. She was curious about all the right things. She asked all the right questions and she picked things apart. She got it that being a good therapist required self-understanding, doing all the hard, nasty, messy, painful work of knowing yourself, really owning your whole self at that point in her life was a huge struggle. And she persisted in that, and she did it with great courage. She understood, and I'm speaking from watching her education unfold over the last years. She understood that when you're in a room with someone, connecting and empathising is essential, but if you don't have a guiding framework, you will flounder. She instinctively knew that what happened to you was a far more useful question than what's wrong with you. And I remember long conversations with her in her 4th year about these things. Again, no snow jobs. Jen was full of raw energy, bursting with raw talent and goofy enthusiasm. She did goofy brilliantly. But to become the master clinician that she eventually she became, all of that really needed some modulating. And my memory is that most of her assignment feedback was 100 different versions of, "Great idea, Jen, but this needs a more nuanced approach." And I certainly remember many, many conversations which were her asking me, "Ruthie, what exactly do you mean by subtle?" Still one to watch, and such a lot to see. In 1998, 4 years after Jen graduated, I was running the 4th year creative arts elective again. We'd kept in contact, knowing Jen was in town. I asked her if she'd co-teach the Movement and Music Day with me, and to my great pleasure, she said yes. I picked her up from the station, and of course, we had to stop at the Lidcombe Greasy Spoon Cafe to get her a meat pie for lunch. For breakfast, actually, it wasn't lunch. I was frantic she'd have food poisoning by lunchtime. But there was no vomiting. She and I and the students, we had a brilliant day. The raw talent, the warmth, the energy, it was all there, but it was absolutely reined in those years she'd been working by a capacity to stay on task. She led the singing, we danced, we laughed, but she also listened, she watched, she held space, and she had the most finely attuned presence. The students were blown away by her capacity to be this absolute grinning doofus and then swivel in a nanosecond, just like that, to help them understand what they were experiencing, to language it, to make sense of it. Totally nuanced, and when required, beautifully subtle. A few years later, she took me along to one of her early workshops she was running. They seemed at best a low energy crowd and at worst dismissive. I was worried for her. How dumb could I be? Within 45 minutes, the crowd was standing, singing, dancing, covered in pretend jello. We're waving plates, stomping, being starfish, and along the way, getting a thorough and compassionately nuanced understanding of the neuroscience of sensory modulation. In going from being her teacher to being colleagues, to her being my teacher on that day, I saw her develop a practice which seamlessly combined extraordinary natural talents with hard work, research, and academic integrity. It took Brené Brown 8 years of research to write this. Laughter, song, and dance create emotional and spiritual connection. They remind us of the one thing that truly matters when we're searching for comfort, celebration, inspiration, or healing: that we are not alone. That was something that Jen, and I have to say, all of us OTs, have always known. In that room, face to face with real people, with desperate parents, with therapists at the end of their tethers, and exhausted educators, she soothed them, she informed, inspired, she encouraged them, she educated, and she gave them hope. And I remember wondering after that day if I was watching someone with a calling rather than just someone with a fast developing career. So I watched over decades, really, as her success grew. She got confident, she got very authoritative, she became an authority. But she never, ever got lost in the arrogance that many gifted trailblazers often do. She was always just more clever, so much more generous, and so much more other-oriented than that. Jen's work, I think, was never just this thing she did for money or she did for the expression of narrow ambition. We often talked about how much she enjoyed singing and dancing and being on stage and all that. But I never ever felt in any way that her motivation was narcissistic gratification. Her drive was always to use the natural gifts she had, that she was born with, and do what it took to make the world a better place for children and parents with work that was important. In conversations in these last years, we talked. Jen was concerned that traffic jam would age and that it would become out of date. A real concern, we agreed. And there's no doubt that with constant advances in neurosciences and brain mapping, that new work would emerge. But here's what I feel. Whatever happens, a life is never finished, even when it's over. The CDs, traffic jam, Jen's work is always one place we can go and we can find her there. Because it was so good and because she was so good. And even with the passage of time, it will always be relevant. It will always be foundational. It will always be the theoretical and experiential shoulders on which future iterations of work in this area will stand. Anne Lamott, the American writer, says, you write your stories, your visions, your memories, your songs, your truth, your version of things in your voice. That's really all you have to offer us, and it's why you were born. Undoubtedly, the world is a better place because of Jen's work. She took her own natural gifts and personality. She put them with the best of collaborators in science. She practiced and she refined it. She ran with it. And she worked really, really hard for decades. And she made it her own. There are now literally hundreds of thousands of children, therapists, parents, and teachers around the world. I mean, her reach in terms of numbers is absolutely phenomenal. These are people whose lives have been positively affected and turned around forever by her work with sensory integration disorders. Work which was always informed by academic rigour. It was always underpinned with courage and authenticity. And it was always motivated by her totally unique compassion and kindness and humour and that smile. She did that important work and she did what she was born for. Okay. Love you, Jen. Love you. Thank you.
Actually, I wasn't going to speak today, but being a Hurley, today, talking about the Dream Team, I just want to say from the time Genevieve was little, inspired by her brothers and sisters, singing with Marie, having her first seizure at 15, and David and Marie supporting her and loving her, and Terry Munro, who she worked for, looking after her children, Michael, who taught her guitar, and all these people here today that sprinkled stardust on her life as well as her sprinkled stardust on theirs. Her in-laws, her outlaws, the people she loved, as she said to me in hospital, Mum, as I held her hand, heart to heart, hand to hand, Genevieve. I've touched many people in my life, Mum, but I really had to work hard at it. Yes, I had a lot of joy, I had a lot of love, but I was hardest on myself. And sometimes I wore the face of the clown and I had to be happy when I didn't feel like it. But thanks to my family, my friends, all the people that filtered through my life, Mum, I can never thank them because they're what made me, they're what inspired me, all you people here today. The in-laws, the outlaws, the friends, the neighbours, Mulgoa, overseas, everyone that's here today, right up to being with Christine. I just want to thank you for being part of our dream team. You are the dream team in our family's life. All the ones at home in Slovenia, Western Australia, America, watching this today. God bless you all for being the dream team, the love, supporting Jen, even when deep down she was a shy person. Only her mother knew that. Her sister supporting her. Everyone that loved her in her life, and her brother, and the nieces and nephews and family and friends. Thank you, heart to heart, hand to hand, from our family. Thank you very much.
You can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing a fool? But one thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Whoa, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Do as I say. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Well, you can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. And what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about these squeaky wheels, always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Yes, and show them the way that you feel. I know things are gonna be just fine if you only will. What I'd like to do to you, shower the people you love with
of the dreams God planted in the fertile soil of you. I can't believe the hopes He's granted means a chapter in your life is through. But we'll keep you close as always. It won't even seem you've gone, 'cause our hearts in big and small ways will keep the love that keeps us strong. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends. And friends are friends forever if the Lord's the Lord of them. And a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends. No, a lifetime's not too long to live as friends.
As we sit quietly in gratitude for Jen's life and bear witness to the many ways she has touched our lives and the lives of others, we now pause to offer our prayers and our intentions.
I'm Jen's uncle. I've done a workshop with her and I've been her student. And as Ruth said, she just had it all. Jen's smile reflected her radiance and her exuberance for life. Her generosity, her craziness, her huge heart, her musicality and off-the-scale creativity were legendary. We live with a gratitude and joy that reflects a deep appreciation for what we value, what brings meaning to our lives, and what makes us feel connected to ourselves and to others, just as Jen did.
May
I'm Maggie, a friend of Jen's, and it's a real privilege for me to be able to read this for her. Jen had the ability to sense emotion and challenges in the lives of others. Excuse me. She could look deep into the soul and take it all in. She could feel, see, touch and listen. Jen used this intuitive gift to bring life, love and hope into so many lives. May we deeply listen to the stories of those people who cross our paths so that we too may meet them with empathy and truth. Love you, Jen.
May you dwell in the heart. May you be free from suffering. May you be healed. May you be at peace.
My name is Colette. I'm one of Jen's friends from uni. I had the privilege of living with her for 3 whole years, and looking through those photographs was just such a take me back, and I feel like I see a little bit of myself in every one of those photos of her beautiful smile. Watching Jen teach was inspiring. She gave so much to so many who did not have a voice. She brought hope, understanding, and joy when people were at a loss. May we practice compassion and recognise our shared humanity so that we treat ourselves and others with loving kindness and take action where we see suffering. Jen faced an inordinate amount of challenges in the last 2 years and was cared for by many, many people. She had a deep appreciation and love for those who continued to show her patience and treat her with dignity when she could not find her own voice. May all of us who are in service of others remember the power of connection in bringing hope during adversity, discomfort and struggle.
I'm Joanne. I'm one of Jen's many cousins and one of the few people. Jen was one of the very rare people in the world. You may know me as Joey from her perspective. Very few. Jen was a beautiful example of love, compassion and humour, and has healed and uplifted so many children and adults throughout her career. She could be her goofy self, yet passionately knowledgeable. May we have the strength to share our authentic self to the world so that we can stand both alone and with others in bringing about change.
Suffering, may you be healed.
Jen was light, laughter and joy. She could lose herself in deep conversations as readily as she could immerse herself in spontaneous fun and play. Her emotions were expansive, as was her love for others. May we cultivate love in our lives by allowing ourselves to be seen and heard, and building connection with others through trust, respect, kindness, and affection.
May you dwell in the heart, may you be free from suffering, may you be healed, may you be at peace.
A flower has been placed on your seat. You are now invited to think about a word or a couple of words that remind you about our beautiful Jen. And we invite you to come forward if you feel you'd like to and place that flower somewhere on our sacred space here and make a prayer, an offering, a thought of or a feeling of gratitude for the gift that Jen is in your life.
Travel on, there's a spirit that is flowing, a spirit that is flowing night and day. Travel on, with the spirit that is flowing, the spirit will be with us all the way. Travel on, with the river that is flowing, the spirit will be with us all the way. Travel on, there's a spirit that is flowing, a spirit that is flowing night and day. Travel on, there's a spirit that is growing, the spirit grows like flowers every day. Travel on, with the flower that is growing, the spirit will be with us all the way. Travel on, there's a spirit that is flowing, a spirit that is flowing night and day. Travel on, there's a spirit that is playing, a spirit of music every day. Travel on, with the music that is playing, the spirit will be with us all the way. Travel on, there's a spirit that is flowing, a spirit that is flowing night and day. is the light of the world. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Walk where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is the light of the world. It's shining, it's shining, it's shining in my soul. It's shining, it's shining, it's shining in my soul. So walk in the light, beautiful light. Walk where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is the light of the world. Walk in the light, beautiful light. Walk where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. Shine all around us by day and by night. Love is the light of the world.
Let us pray. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose on earth, a time to be born and a time to die. For Jen, death came after a life knowing that she was loved. Love for and love of her family and friends and all those who were touched by her work. In love and respect, we have remembered Jen's life. Her character and personality we commit to our memories. Her love and ideals we commit to our hearts. Her body we have sent to its natural end, to be returned to the great cycle of nature. Her spirit we commit to God's keeping. Jen, we will always remember you and all that you have given to us in your life. We will always value who you were for us. To love someone is to risk the pain of parting. Not to love is never to have lived. The sadness which we now experience is the honouring of our love. We send you out now, Jen, to go safely into the gentle hands of those who have gone before you. For this is the next part of your journey. May a greater wholeness and fullness of life be waiting for you. And let us go into the world, glad that we have loved, free to hold each other in our sadness, strengthened to live life to the full.
Friends, thank you for joining us in this occasion of honouring and sharing the love and the gratitude that we have for our beautiful Jen. I think it's very appropriate for us to let Jen lead us in a song as we leave to celebrate further with each other and in the company of each other.
Everybody, we're going to teach you to start this song.
Jen would like us to all stand, as we said that Jen told us what she wanted. So this is a little surprise. Yeah, if anyone would like to come and join Marie, they're going to have the video up here. Oh, me by myself.
Yeah, no, I'll be with you.
If anyone else wants to join some of the uni friends, so let's go.
Standing, everybody. We're going to teach you the starfish song. Say, hit it, Tony. Hit it, Tony. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo!
I'm small
Small as a bug.
I'm
as tall as a tree.
I'm as wide as a bridge. I'm a wave on the sea.
Ready?
Cha 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 cha. I'm a starfish. I'm a clam. I'm a shooting star. That's what I am. I can be anything I want to be.
You better believe it.
I'm as thin as a pin.
Thin as a pin.
I'm as tiny as a snail. I'm as round as the sun. I'm a swimming, diving whale. Cha 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 cha.
Everyone!
I'm a starfish.
I'm a starfish.
I'm a shooting star. That's what I am. I can be anything I want to be.
What can we be?
Firefighter. Skydiver.
Let me hear you. Woo!
Hip-hop dancer.
Ha! Ha!
I can be anything I want to be.
Ready? Down low.
Let
me hear you.
I'm a starfish. I'm a clam. I'm a shooting star. That's what I am. I can be anything I want to be. Anything I want to be. Anything I want to be.
Wow! Take a bow! Turn around! Turn around, take a bow! Come on! Wow! Were they not amazing?
Her second choice was Push Your Blues Away. So one last gift from Jen for her memorial. Let's do this one together. It's coming.
I'm gonna shake, shake, shake my blues away. I'm gonna shake, shake, shake my blues away. Oh yeah, I'm gonna bend my knees and do the twist till I am over this.
Good one, Jen. Thank you, everyone. Please stay and enjoy some refreshments together. Keep your social spacing if you can. I know it's pretty hard, isn't it, when we haven't seen each other for a long time. Thank you for joining in. This was really what Jen wanted, and you have made it so. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.